Today I spent election day. Jim and I drove around to a little nap. After 45 years, I'm ready for a different level of involvement, talking about the issues, but not being personally on the line. So no, this is I have no regrets at all, and actually I'm very encouraged by Joe Kennedy. Any guilt feelings people might have tried to lay on me for leaving my district or the district I'd represented, Joe's taken care of. He's going to be great.
How so?
Well, he's energetic. He is committed to the issues, and frankly, he does have a certain national stature by virtue of the family's distinguished history, and he'll use that to the advantage of the district. He will be more influential, frankly, than the average freshman, because there will be other members who will say, oh, can I have you pose with my constituent for a picture? Can you come to my district? And the more other members ask him to help them out, then the more he will have influence in helping the district.
It's nice to be young, too. Starting
yes,
young.
yep.
Sean Belot put up competition against you. Maybe it's a different district, so it's hard to compare them straight up this time to last time. But what are some of your observations about
Well, in the first
race?
place, I was interested to hear some reporters mention that Mr. Belot's been complaining that he hadn't gotten the level of support this time that he got the last time, and he kind of deluded himself into thinking that people were giving him all that money and support because they liked him. The fact what you had with the national right-wingers who marked me as an enemy, of which I'm quite proud. He had people, major financial manipulators, giving him money because they didn't like what we were doing in financial reform. So kind of, I guess he thought that they really were so fond of him when they, in fact, he was the instrument they were using against me. I don't think this is going to be remotely close. The other point is that 2010, when Mr. Belot and I ran against each other, was the best Republican year in recent memory. It's as good a year as Republicans ever had. Any Republican, everything else being equal, ran 5 or 10 points better in 2010 than he or she's going to run this time. You're going to see this in the House when they won all these seats, and this time we're going to gain seats. So the district has changed. One of the things I found interesting was Mr. Belot said that, well, he had an advantage this time because last time he was encountering people who were grateful to me and the people who worked for me for the constituent services we performed, which, of course, at the time he denigrated. But I don't think that's going to make any difference. And it's also the case that even in the new parts of the district, Mr. Belot is kind of on the right. I mean, he ridiculed our efforts to hold down military spending. He's not for protecting the constitutional right to abortion. He's been against same-sex marriage. He's essentially he was for raising the Social Security retirement age to a very high level. So I don't think this is going to be at all close.
It's a different district. It's 2 years later, so again, it's not completely fair to compare the two. But
then why are you doing it?
Well,
someone making you do something you think is unfair?
No, it's not completely fair.
I wouldn't want you to be harassed.
Or comparable, no. I wonder, though, I mean, it's possible that Joe Kennedy III will defeat Belot by a larger margin than you did. Does that?
Oh, of course he will. First of all, it's a different district, as you said, but it was a better district for a Democrat. If you're trying to engage my competitive instincts, I'm afraid that no such luck. 2010, as I just said, perhaps anticipating the question, was a much better Democrat. Yeah, every Democrat is going to do better than he or she did in similar circumstances. And finally, look, I acknowledge I was a source of great aggravation to the right wing. Oh, no question that Mr. Belot's campaign benefited greatly from the anger against me. And he himself has said he's not getting the level of support from Karl Rove, from Richard Morris, from these national right-wing organizations, from financial manipulators like Carl Icahn and others, because he's not running against me. So there's no question that there was more opposition to me because of the financial reform bill and other factors. So, yeah, there's no question that Joe is a stronger candidate, One, because 2010 was a much worse year, and two, he does not have the vulnerabilities that I'd acquired during the time. Still with that, it was an 11-point lead. Joe was going to win by more.
Yeah, and so maybe fresh face is part of that. Yeah. What advice would you give either candidate going forward, representing your former?
I don't think I have to give Joe Kennedy advice. He understands very much the district. I've been impressed by the way in which he's campaigned and listened to people about the important issues. I'll be glad to give him some advice once he gets there about how you deal with this and that individual, depending on which committee he gets on. The advice will be specific to Congress, although I've also talked to him about some of the people I thought he could rely on as being especially good sources of information.